Tim Kane. I'm the Community Resource Development Educator for Bayfield County. I'm going to be moderating our second session, which is titled How to Make Your Business Thrive Using the Internet. And I'm pleased that we've got three local companies that are really doing a yeoman's job using the internet and modern technology to grow their business. And I think you'll find out after you hear them all talk what a great job they're doing. My first two folks I'm going to ask to speak are from TACmoto from Superior, Joe Flattery and his partner Tim Tollefson. They're the co-owners of TACmoto, and their company is a power sports business that specializes in sales of ATV, motorcycles, side-by-side parts, clothing, accessories. They've been actually in business together a very short period of time. I'll let them talk about that. Our next presenter right here in Ashland is Tom Gazdick from Soft Lines Incorporated. Tom's business sells rope products for dogs, boats, horses, hunting related markets. And Tom was right out of the Ashland Area Enterprise Center where his business is headquartered. And besides Tom there is Bob Teesberg, and Bob has a very interesting business, Ancient Wood Limited. Bob is the president of Ancient Wood. And his company manufactures specialty furniture products from ancient Kari wood from New Zealand. And I've been on his website, seen some really cool products that Bob is going to talk about. I'm going to ask each of our presenters from the different companies to speak about 15 minutes, talk about their business, how they started their business, products they sell, how they identify the markets they're selling to, how they're using the internet to market and sell their business products, and how they've grown the business over the years. So I'm going to ask each of them to talk about 15 minutes, and then after they've each spoken, I'm going to open it up to questions from the audience, so you can ask any of our three business folks here anything about their business you want to know. So I'm going to start off with Joe Flattery and Tim Thompson from TACmoto, and I'll let you guys take it away.
Good morning. We're TACmoto LLC. We sell power sports stuff, dirt bikes, motorcycles, ATVs, anything to do with that, accessories, handlebars, grips, stuff that everyday people use. And it's a large market, but there's a lot of people competing in it. Me and Joe actually work together at a company called 50 Below, who is now owned by ARI. They're based out of Duluth, and we started working together, sitting next to each other. He has a background in the power sports industry selling stuff, I do too, and one day we were chatting and decided, boy, we can sell this stuff too. Next thing you know, we decided to start a business and sell it ourselves. I've grown up in the power sports industry riding. My dad has raced motorcycles since I could walk. And it's just something I live for, I love, and I, in turn, like to sell. Joe has background in the same thing. He's ridden snowmobiles, ATVs, motorcycles, dirt bikes his entire life. He's worked at St. Paul Harley-Davidson down in Minneapolis, or St. Paul, Twin Cities. One of the #1 sellers of Harley-Davidson parts and accessories in the world, and he has a big background in selling lots and lots and lots of volume online, lots of shipments, lots of stuff like that. I started about 13 years ago. One of my friends was selling stuff on eBay, and he showed me eBay and showed me how easy it was to list something on there. I listed something on eBay, and I was amazed at, wow, it sold, and I got money for it, which is always an epiphany. And ever since then, I've been selling stuff online. So we decided to get together. Our LLC was formed in March of 2012. So our business hasn't been up that long, but we have a lot of experience in selling stuff online and how to sell a lot of stuff online quickly, packaging, shipping, the whole thing, customer service. Right now it's pretty small. It's just me and him getting it done, and it's pretty hectic right now, but it happens, and we get it done. So it actually kind of works out though with this conference. We have basically built and flourished with just online. We have a physical location in Superior, Wisconsin. Probably not a lot of people have heard of us, but we sell worldwide. Any country we've pretty much sold to and know how to sell to and know how to market to. So we have basically gone through all the steps, started a business, started an LLC, worked really heavily, and she did a lot of work. Julianne Raymond of the entrepreneurial, or of Superior, Wisconsin University, Small Business Development Center, has helped us out immensely. We know how to sell things, we've done that stuff. We've never built a business plan before. And that's something we didn't know how to do. We know how to do things online. She helped us out, and now we're here. So when it comes down to, like I said, we know power sports. We know how to sell things, power sports wise. We have a niche in it. We like to sell it. So when we decided to sell what we're going to sell, we decided what is one of the most prevalent things that people in the power sports industry do. And one of the biggest things we started with was dirt bikes, motocross, stuff like that. It's a great niche market. Kids from 5 to 30, even people after that, ride dirt bikes. They love it. It's a passion of theirs, and they have a lot of parts that they need. They bend handlebars, they need new grips, they need chains, they need stuff like this, all the components for their motorcycles. And that's basically how we decided to start in that market. We did a lot of research, and it's a little bit easier for us because we were in the industry. I've seen over the years what sells, what people want, and that's basically what we identified. People need handlebars, people need grips, people need chains, people need stuff like that. So that's what we went after, and we went to our distributor, said, here's what we're going to sell. We got signed up with them, and we went and started selling it. The biggest part about that is we had to identify, obviously, our target demographic, and that would basically came down to where and what are they buying and where are they finding it. And Joe has a great background in marketing and identifying that, working at St. Paul Harley-Davidson, and how people, the thought process of people buying something and what they want to see online. One of the biggest things that was good for us is we did work at 50 Below in Duluth, and we were power sports website consultants. I've worked with 200, 300 websites at any given time as their consultant with their website. So I've seen from the East Coast to the West Coast what people want to see, how they want to shop, and what they want. And that is basically how we identified our market. We kind of got a little bit of an inside track on that. But it worked out for us. And Joe's going to talk now about how we identified our market, how we leveraged it, how we utilized it, how we market it, and how we get people to buy stuff.
Well, as Tim said, I have a background at St. Paul Harley-Davidson. That e-commerce department is actually no longer around anymore. We did about $13 million a year in annual net sales. Being that large and having such a huge dealership with exposure all over the world, you have certain luxuries where you can have the cash flow where Tim and I don't have that luxury. We started our business essentially out of pocket. Everything that we put into it, we owed $0, which it may pose a few questions as you go to get financing. Well, why don't you guys owe anything? Because they want to know that, well, this new business, it doesn't have any ties. You guys could pull up shop and take off. But so, like I said, working at St. Paul Harley-Davidson, we did quite a bit of online advertising. We did about $30,000 a month in pay-per-click ads, Google advertising, AdWords campaigns. That's where I got all of my experience with going into an AdWords campaign for, say, for instance, Australia. Everything is different. The market's different. The things people ride are different. There's just a different environment, and it's very true online. So what you see online has to somewhat mimic what we're doing in a store. Tim and I, like you said, we don't have an actual storefront where you can walk in and buy something. That's not how we're set up. Occasionally we'll have people come in, ask us a question like, oh, do you guys have this? I saw it online. We're like, no. It's kind of one of those behind the scenes type deals. So what we did essentially from scratch, we went and like Tim said, we identified our market. So we looked at our competition, which is step one in our marketing plan. What are people selling? What's moving? What is going to be the most fruitful for us? So we had to get a good product mix of things like loss leaders. There's stuff that we're breaking even selling it. But it's not, the idea isn't to make money on every single thing. It's not quality over quantity. I don't want to sell one thing and make $100. I want to sell 10 things and make $10. That's 10 transactions. That's the ideal situation for us, is to get as many things moving and out the door right now. That may not be the case in 2 years, 3 years, however the business kind of progresses. But at this stage, we have a good mix of our products. So we look at our competition, like I said, identify what they're moving. That's the big thing. We pretty much piggybacked off of them, which that was my experience at St. Paul Harley Davidson. We had a storefront website, we had an Amazon store, and we had an eBay store. So ideally, you want everyone to buy from direct. That's where you're saving the most on commissions. You pay the fewest amount of fees. I think we're paying like 12% to eBay. 12, 13.
It's between 8% and 10% on eBay, and it's 12% flat rate on Amazon.
Okay, so we're paying commissions on stuff. We have quite a bit of overhead as far as our commissions. That's our biggest expense every month. That and shipping, obviously. One of the things, like I said, to drive our customers direct, we had to find ways to get them to shop direct, because just because you have a website doesn't mean people are going to go there. So there's ways that you can track it, promote it. We license all of our domains. We push them into Google so that Google will recognize, okay, well, this is TAC Moto. So anytime you bring something up, our website is designed in a sense that we actually have everything that works behind the scenes. It's not just visually good, because there's things that you have to do to a website to get it to perform good. So that's where you get your high Google ranking, Yahoo, stuff like that. Because from what Tim and I saw at 50 Below, that's how people are getting to websites. You know, flat out, it's set as, I don't know how many people off the top of my head, but it's set to their homepage. So right when they open the internet, Google's there. So if they're looking for something, that's what it's based off of, is type it into a keyword search and find it. So that's what the performance on the back end, like all of our meta information and stuff like that. I won't bore you guys too much with the deep technical stuff on it, but our website is designed in such that it's going to basically provide our users or our customers with the easiest path to get somewhere, and also to navigate it. So navigation has to be clean, clear, the data has to be there. If it's not, they're going to go somewhere else. Like Tim said, this is a cutthroat industry. Our margins aren't as good. We don't have keystone markups on everything, so we don't buy a product and obviously mark it up 100%. We don't have that luxury. We make a little bit off of everything, and like we said, our product mix is such that we're going to break even on a few things. We're going to make more on other things. We make more on our kits, which is kind of one of our niche things that we found. We put together handlebar kits. So what you see right here on the main merchandising slide, we have full handlebar kits. So each one of those items individually probably has about a 30% margin built into it. As a kit, when we're able to combine ship on all these things, that's where we really were able to find our niche. We started pushing those things out the door last fall. It just kind of took off. So everything that we look at as far as our market is essentially designed around that. Where can we make our most money on this type of item? So we want to essentially get a good product mix. You'll see on our website, we carry a number of brands. I think we have access to about 250,000 SKUs. We originally went at it kind of a broad stroke approach. We started kind of basically competing with the big company, which is Motorsport. Those guys do over $100 million a year in sales every year, and they're one of probably 3 that does that. So we had to find a way where we can take a little bit off of their plate and put it in our pocket. So that's what we went after. Pro Tipper, which is one of our house brands, carried through our distributor. We found our kits. We found a niche that works, that we're moving, so that's what we promoted. Our website is essentially built around Pro Taper. We're in the process actually of rebranding it kind of right now and pushing more into strictly Pro Taper, because with the volume that we've been able to do, we were actually able to negotiate a little bit better contract and get a little bit more of a discount. So, you want to bring up the eBay store? Yeah. So like I said, identifying the products, that was our first step. We want to know what our market is, who's buying it, where they're buying it, what they're doing, what they're using it for. The biggest thing, like I said, just because you have a website doesn't mean people are going to necessarily go there and buy from you. There's tons of them. Tim and I both had 300 dealerships that we provided website consulting for. I had 3 states. I had Maryland, Delaware, and Pennsylvania were my 3 states. Tim kind of had a few across the U.S., or excuse me, scattered across all 50 states across the U.S., so there's plenty of competition out there. So we were looking to find our best impact. So we weren't going to be able to, like I said, put that $30,000 a month or spend an exorbitant amount of money in Google AdWords campaigns. We had to find a way to tap into where the people were. So just like Facebook, everyone always talks about Facebook, it's so good, Twitter is so good, we have to be on there. You do that because you know where your customers are. It's easy to go there. So if we know our customers are on Facebook or we know our customers are on eBay, that's what we need to tap into. So that's what we did. Our first step was going into eBay. We knew we were going to have to pay more commissions. Unfortunately, that's the name of the game. When you're growing a business, you have to essentially go for what your biggest bang is. So that's what we went into eBay. We have, I think we're probably going to be pushing into another store pretty soon, but our niche market on eBay is essentially motocross and ATV. We originally started out as just TAC Moto, now we're TAC Moto and ATV. Our LLC is still TAC Moto LLC. But our product mix online, we have loss leaders. There's small dollar items that we sell. We make about, I think 52 cents is their lowest. We actually make on a buckle for a helmet. Everyone uses them. I used to sell probably, I would say, 70 a day at St. Paul Harley Davidson. Those things were flying out the door. So I was able to take that. Tim worked at RJ Sport and Cycle in Duluth at the time, and he said, no one buys these in the store. And I said, it's a different ballgame online. You know, it really is. You've seen that? People have way different shopping habits online as they do, or excuse me, as opposed to shopping in store. So you need to know what your online customers are doing. That's a big thing. I'd say probably one of the biggest things is identifying your customers' shopping habits online. And there's certain things that you can do to kind of track the performance, where they're coming from, what they're visiting on the site. Google Analytics is a big thing that Tim and I look at. It's free. It's essentially an HTML plugin where we have an account through Google, and it tells us what the referring domains are, meaning where did the customers come from? Did they come from Google? Did they come from maybe ATV.com might have put up a free listing, or Manta.
Light it up here a little bit.
Yep, no problem. But anyways, I would say that's probably the biggest thing that we could probably bring to this is identifying your customers and essentially tapping into the markets that they're at. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it back over to Tim.
Okay, thanks very much. Appreciate it. This time I'd like to introduce again Tom Gadzek with Soft Lines Incorporated. As I mentioned at the start, Tom's business enterprise is right in the Ashtonary Enterprise Center here in Ashland. And, tell us about your business, Tom.
Well, I'm going to talk with my hands, so I'm not going to hold back.
Okay, good.
In year 2000, I started thinking about a career change, and I said, I got to look for a business that I can make money with rather than work for somebody and help them make money for their business. So I started working with some business brokers down in Minneapolis. There was 3 good ones down there. And when I first contacted them, they were very excited to have someone looking to start a new business. And they had all kinds of businesses for sale. So I started getting materials from them, and the papers came in, they were that thick. And I ended up going down there and talking to them, and I said, you know, I don't want to buy myself a job. I don't want to buy a restaurant and cook. I don't want to buy a bar, be a bartender. I want to buy a business. So if you guys keep sending me this stuff, I'm going to go elsewhere. Well, the amount of papers I got went down to like 5 a month instead of 500. So from that, I found a couple of interesting companies, and one of them I kept going back to was a company that used multi-filament polypropylene roll. Now, this is very soft, it's lightweight, it floats in water, specific gravity is less than water. It doesn't sliver like nylon does. It doesn't absorb water, and you can get it in a lot of different colors. So I started looking at that and I said, what is this guy doing? And he was working primarily in the marine business for boats. He had dock lines, he had fender lines, and he had some anchor lines, but that was about it. And then he started dabbling in the pet industry. And I said, well, okay, now let's start thinking about those markets. So what I did is I went back to the drawing board with this material, and I started saying, okay, I can identify the market for the marine part. I know boats. Dogs, I don't know much about dogs, a snapping issue. So I got to start thinking about what kind of products are made in that industry. I then identified the horse industry as using ropes. And from there I went into the hunting industry, which I was pretty familiar with, being from around here. And all I had to do to go from dock lines to the dog industry was buy some hardware. So I found some hardware suppliers and I went and visited them. And I started looking, I said, well, okay, this hardware has to be sized to the rope. And I have 1/4 inch, 3/8 inch, 1/2 inch, and 5/8 inch diameter rope. So I need hardware that matches that size. I also have some specialty hardware, swivels and things like that. Now, when I identified the horse industry, came with a whole new set of hardware. They like to use a chain lead. They like heavy-duty bolt snaps. They like panic snaps. They like bolt snaps. And then I did this scissor snap, and what I was able to do with that was make reins for the horses. So now I've got primarily 1/2 inch and 5/8 diameter serving that industry. Going back to the boats here, when I started out in the boat industry, we had the basic dock lines, fender lines, and I started a launch line. And what I did is I saw launch lines in stores, marine stores and stuff like that, and they had a very cheap galvanized hook on the end of it. And people were looking for, my niche was going to be a higher end stainless steel. And so what I did is I found a nice spring hook clip that was very durable, stainless steel, and would not rust. So that allowed me to make a launch line. That increased then my market share with that launch line. And from there, when I was out on a boat with a friend of mine, I saw him come into a dock, and what he was having trouble with, he was having trouble docking the boat. So I had to help him dock the boat. I had to jump out on the dock and dock the boat. But he did a lot of boating by himself. And I thought, why don't you guys have a locator line on your boat? And the locator line would have 2 loops on it. So if you're pulling into a dock, you can take, you've got a cleat right by your arm. Basically, there's always a cleat there. You put the cleat, put the rope through that cleat, and then you hook it over the other cleat on the dock, and you have a short line, and now you've got your boat controlled. And I took it a step further. I said, well, why don't I offer that in 2-foot, 1-foot increments all the way up to 20, 30 feet? Because some people dock their boats, and they have a permanent docking system. They own the dock. So they can come into this dock, and they can just throw these loops over the cleats, and their boat is in the same place every time. I said, what a marvelous idea. Now when they go out and boat and dock at some other dock, they're going to need transient lines. So now I'm selling permanent dock lines plus transient dock lines. So that's how I approach that market niche. I was at a in Louisville, Kentucky. And next to me, a guy was selling trolling reels. Those trolling reels were made out of platinum, titanium. They were worth from $1,000 to $6,000, these big deep sea trolling reels. And on the trolling reel, I noticed a hook. And I said, "What is that hook for?" And they said, we tie our reels down. So I had this launch line with this beautiful stainless steel clip. And I said, why don't I make a reel safety line and market it as a reel safety line? So I did a magazine release with these new reel safety lines. And what was really beautiful about it is these guys go out trolling, they got 4, 5, 6 reels out there. So now they're buying 4, 5, 6 of these. Instead of one launch line, I'm selling 4, 5, 6 of them, and I'm still using the same hardware. Also in the boats, I read it was actually a horrible article 2 years ago out in Chicago. Two couples went out on a sailboat at midnight after having some drinks. They went out in the harbor, and that's when it was like 90 degrees at night. We had that heat wave. And when they got out there, they decided to jump in and go for a swim. The girls really didn't want to do that, so they put on life preservers and they went in there. Their sailboat floated away in the current. The 2 guys drowned. The 2 girls did survive. They were found by trollers the next morning going out trolling, and they had, of course, suffered hypothermia. But I looked at that and I said, that's horrible. There should be something out there for those people. And I went in here and I said, I could do a personal safety line . See if we can get some photos here. Well, I'll go through this. If you can imagine, I took this stainless steel clip now. I made a 3/8 line that's 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 feet long. I offer it to boaters. And what they can do is they can hook this to their life jacket and they can go out and do their swimming. They will stay with the boat. The boats, generally, they don't anchor them, so at least that they have the security of knowing that they're secured to the boat and they won't lose that contact with the boat. The thinking behind this is, it's going to be a family on a boat, and they're all going to want to swim at the same time. And if it's a family of 3, you'd be selling 5 of these. And that's what I'm hoping to do. And this is my newest product launch, which I just released here last month. Now, when I went into the identified dogs, there's a lot of different leashes out there. There's harnesses, there's martingale leashes, which collapse around the throat when the dog pulls. They're very used a lot with greyhounds, because greyhounds are all trachea, and they don't want to put stress on them, so they don't use slip leads. They don't like to use collars. They want to use a leash that collapses around them. I also was working, I went to a trade show, and two older ladies came up to me, and they were working for a rescue service, and they had arthritis, and they said, could you make me a leash that I could throw over my shoulder, and then I could hold on to it like this? And I said, well, yeah, I could do that. Let me go back and work on that. So I did that, and I started thinking, all they wanted was a loop, bigger loop for a handle. So I said, well, why don't I make that loop adjustable, and then I can take this and I can put it around my waist, and I can tighten it up, and now I have a hands-free leash. I can go jogging, I can train the dog, I can walk him out to the field, hunting, I can carry my gun, my equipment, and the dog won't run away. So then I said, well, I'll make a permanent handle on this side. Now they can loop it around a park bench. And I started working with a trainer, and the trainer, they do long lead training, and then they want to do short lead training. And I put another ring here, and now I had a training leash for the trainers. So by this, I call this the ultimate activity lead. It does a lot of different things, and it serves a lot of different parts of the market. So we can see here that when I went to work on a website, getting into a website, I said, how can I take the markets now and make people think I need to get this? So I started here with a drop-down that says arthritic and handicap-friendly dog leashes. That's this. I can loop it over my shoulder. I also have slip leads. I have some snap leads, some different snaps for them to use. Then I also have the dog grooming supplies. It's all harnesses, things that I do with dogs, martingale leash. I have leash harnesses. I said dog leashes and collars for training. That gets the trainer to look at this. It's the same leashes I have in the other drop-downs, but a trainer's on here now. Then I have dog leashes for beaches. Now that was an interesting one because that preceded my safety line for people. There's a leash law on all the beaches in most areas, and you have to have your dog on a leash. Well, the dog wants to go in the water. So I had the stainless steel clip, and I put it on the rope again at 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50 feet long. These are selling tremendously along coastlines and any place where there's good lake properties and things like that. Because people want to have control of their dogs. Sometimes the dog will go out there and they'll never come back in.
I'm going to ask you to wind it up here.
Sure. Okay, so anyway, when I looked at the markets, I just said, how can I trigger the people to think about going to the website and buying this thing and filling out the order? And that's how I made this drop-down menu, and to try to get people to be thinking outside the box. And they might be in there for a boat dock line, but I also have hunting dog leashes, thinking that guys that own boats might go hunting. That's basically how I set up my website.
Okay, thank you very much, Tom. A lot of innovation. Bob Teesberg from Easterwood is going to talk about his business.
I have some of the wood here, this is the wood we sell, pass it around, you can have a look if you want, or.
Again, Bob his business is in the Actionary Enterprise Center, just like Tom. So we got two businesses, both utilizing that facility.
So here's our site, anyway, and there's this slideshow that'll go as I'm talking here, so I'll just set it up for the slideshow. So I'm Bob Teisberg, Ancient Wood Limited, it's the name of the company. We sell the oldest wood in the world that we import from New Zealand. The species of wood is kauri wood. It's 50,000 years old. It's literally dug up from underground in New Zealand. We've been in business for 9 years. We're absolutely internet dependent. Our present customers are some of the world's most prominent citizen furniture makers and instrument builders worldwide. We're down at the Ashland Area Economic Development Center, and a little bit about our product. What sets ancient kauri apart from other species of wood is certainly its age and its amazing natural history story. Its stunning beauty. It's a totally green product, environmentally friendly. It's dug up from underground. The size of the wood is also very important to our business. We get some enormous pieces of wood, and that helps us sell some pretty interesting pieces of furniture and raw wood. We've been importing and selling the wood since 2004. Over that course of time, certainly there have been an amazing number of hurdles. and the learning curve in many ways has been quite steep. One of the things we had to do was learn how to dry this wood to develop a market for a species of wood that was really unknown outside of New Zealand. And we managed to get through the leanest economic times, and we're still here, and our doors are still open, thanks to a lot of help from a lot of people. We're the sole, Ancient Wood's the sole importers for all of North America for this species of wood. We're the only place in the world where you can find a piece of ancient kauri online and purchase it, and we're the only place in the world actively marketing this wood worldwide to individuals or businesses. We're the sole providers of ancient kauri to the worldwide instrument market through our new website, ancienttonewood.com, which I'll pull up in just a second. And we've sold wood to more than 26 countries worldwide. We have right now a table heading out to Loch Ness, Scotland that's ready to go. We've got new distributors in Los Angeles, in Lebanon, and Dubai. We've got this week, we've sent 2 quotes to Italy and a quote off to India, all for fairly substantial projects. So 90% of our business is conducted through the internet. There's been a few very interesting lessons for us, but one of them, and I'll just touch on a few of them now. The internet has no borders, so it's easy to get clients from around the world, and I've listened to Joe and Tim talking about their worldwide clientele and addressing, for instance, the Australian motorbike deal. And I think it's important if you're setting up an internet business that you realize you're not trying to sell to the guy down the street, you're trying to sell, you can easily sell all over the world. Just keep that look that you're international, and it works. And there's a few hurdles that we've really decided, we didn't decide. There are a few other interesting points to the internet business that have not been particularly good for us, but it's been interesting trying to maneuver our way around. And one is creating trust with our clients. Our stuff is expensive, and so we really need to have a level of trust with, we need to have our customers believe that we exist, that the wood exists, and the wood is what it is. And so in trying to get that level of trust to appear on something like a website, a couple of things happened sort of incidentally that really worked in our favor. One was we got involved with a television program called Extreme Home Makeover. As a result of that, ABC Television let us use their logo on our website, and we found that leads an element of credibility to our product. When people see ABC and Extreme Home Makeover, they've got an association that works well for us. And really, we've talked about Facebook and we talked about Twitter and having that stuff live on your site, but I really believe, for us anyway, what's really beneficial for Twitter and Facebook is, again, it brings that level of trust, it brings a level of humanity to your project, and there really are people and they're going to tweet, and they've got an identity on Facebook. So that, again, getting our customers to believe that we're real and our product is real is key to us over the web. One difficulty that's come up because we work on the web is we've been trying to cultivate distributors for our products, not just in the US, but around the world. Because the internet has no borders, it's very difficult to assure, for instance, the most recent distributors out in California and the sign up with outfit in Beirut, Lebanon. Both of them want to secure their territory. It's very difficult to sort of identify geographical territory and who actually is attracting the business for ancient kauri, whether it's their website or our website. So creating that an agreement between both of us that we can both live with has been an interesting step along the way. And so the reason I bring it up is for us it's been difficult for us to attract distributors because of this. The flip side of that, and which I bring up to them often, is, well, you're in Los Angeles and you want to sell the wood, but there are no borders for you either, so you can get anybody you want from anywhere in the world. So anyway, that's this is a brand new website for us, and getting it launched was a particularly interesting process, and it's not over yet, but we just got it live about 2 weeks ago. And I mentioned that Ancient Tonewood website, and this is where we're offering products to the musical instrument builder around the world. And so there's just a quick look at Ancient Tonewood. We refer people to this site off ours, and this site also will default to the Ancient Wood website. And I think that sums up what I wanted to say about Ancient Wood's involvement with the internet. Thanks very much.
Okay, now is our opportunity, if you've got any questions for any of our three businesses, to ask those questions. Very fascinating to hear Tim and Joe talk about using their prior experience to come together and put together their business and develop their business idea. And it's nice to hear that they utilize the resources for the Small Business Development Center through Julianne's efforts. Good to hear that the university is making a difference here for folks. And I was really intrigued by Tom, how he's looked at these different products and made modifications and really created some better products and unique products for his industry, which I thought was really fascinating, and kind of using some of the things that are out there and making them better, kind of capitalizing some opportunities. And while Bob didn't mention this, I'm really curious how he got into the identifying that particular wood, and that he wanted to get into the, importing that and creating wood, especially wood products. Maybe I'll start off with a question real fast to Bob. How do you decide that I want to get Kari wood and we're gonna make products over here in Ashland, Wisconsin?
Well, this goes right back to the time limit. If I can go on forever about I was a cabinet maker by trade, and I happened to be in New Zealand for personal reasons in the year 2000. I ran across the wood at that time in New Zealand and was fascinated with it immediately. At that same time, there was a business in town called Timeless Timber that was thriving. And so I knew that there was an interest for unusual and old wood in particular. Timeless Timber's reach went well beyond the local. There is a local fascination with it, but it went well beyond the local fascination. We received a lot of attention from all around the country and the world. So that was sort of identifying that there's a possibility for the business to exist. And I started this with no business training, and I was a cabinet maker and a captain on, I've got Merchant Mariner's documents. So it was a surprise, continues to be a surprise every day, how this is done. But it was, when you set your mind to it, you can figure it out. I think probably everybody in this room knows that part of the story. Once snowballing, it's.
I think kind of like Rob West this morning in his presentation, looking for opportunities, and he saw some things and kind of made a connection and created a product and a business idea.
Could I just say that there's a lot of people in the audience today that have been helping me along the way, and I'm not going to go into names, but I didn't say anybody specifically, but I see a lot of really familiar faces that have been very helpful over the past few years, so thanks to them.
Any questions? Donna?
Bob, tell them about that big board that went to a table for the wine industry.
Well, we did we had the 20-foot long board that at that time we were billing as the biggest board in the United States. We couldn't find anybody who would argue with us, so we decided to go with it. And there was another beauty of the internet was you can make claims, and until they're really disputed, well, they're real, right? We were contacted by a vineyard in Napa Valley they commissioned a table for us to make for the Vineyard 7 and 8 was the name of the company. So we finished the table, made them a table base. One of the local firms we've actually worked with quite a bit is Fastlane Motorsports, who does a lot of metal fabricating and finishing of the metal work for us. And they've been very helpful and very patient, and worked with us quite a bit to get these metal table bases made for these enormous tables. But we wound up finishing it off and shipping it out to Vineyard 7 and 8, and they're still quite happy with it. We hear reports back every now and again. Napa Valley. And now the biggest board in the country is in Ashland. It's down at our facility, and it's 40 feet long and 7 feet wide, one solid board with no noise. Phenomenal piece of wood.
Other questions for any of our, Julianne?
This may be a really stupid question, but I'm wondering now, because of this international reach, do you each or all have translation, click on translation so that you can drop down and push German, for example? Is that even an issue?
We don't have click on translation. It is out there for some of our competitors. They do have it, the larger names like I had mentioned earlier. What we have, eBay actually has extensions. So say for instance, ebay.fr. Everything here is .com, .us, .biz, .net. I could go on. I think there's like 16 of them. Overseas with eBay, they have .uk, they have .fr. Every country essentially has its own translation. It's got its own currency is essentially listed on there. Our website, we don't have it. We still ship stuff international. It's been my experience that if a customer knows what they're looking for, they can still browse and navigate and stuff. That's when more visual things come into play. Like, everyone up here has talked about having a website that essentially looks visually stimulating as well. So
I've found working with websites, I used to put it on all the time. Google Translate is a free service that you can take basically if you just go to Google and type in Google Translate, you can find it. You can download it and it'll basically take any text, as long as it's text and not an image, it will translate it into whatever language you want, which is fine and dandy. And as an English-speaking American, you're like, well, okay, perfect. If you want to sell to South America, here's your translation. We've found in a lot of cases, it's not even close to right. From speaking to people that can actually read it, it's more of an issue than not having it, because you get the visual factor, which good pictures, good quality descriptions, line items that people can figure out what they're getting is going to get you way farther than trying to offer them a translation. Most of the time, anybody who's shopping international is savvy enough to know they can shop international and will be able to translate it themselves or have their own translation software, is my 2 cents.
With that same question about the translation, I'm actually struggling this week with getting my measurements all in metric. So it's an interesting question about translation. I'm not so worried about the words as I am the measurements.
Other question?
Can you describe the extent of what a distributor can do and how you find the right one?
It basically, what we found, it comes down to the industry you're in, and it comes down to the power of the internet. If you want to sell something, there is somebody out there that will provide it to you. So basically it's, hop on Google. If you find a niche that you want to sell in, I would Google, for instance, t-shirts. If you want to find a t-shirt distributor, you type in t-shirt distributor and you'll find 55 pages of them. And then you can go through, who you find with, probably comes down to the best website, where it's coming from, and you can actually make physical contact with them. It was easy for us in our industry. I've been in the industry, we've been to trade shows, we knew who to talk to get the product we needed. But we've also looked into licensing our own products, clothing, fuel cans to hold gas to put into your four-wheeler, dirt bike, stuff like that. And you can get that stuff all day long from other countries, in the country, by Googling whatever you're looking for, usually you can find a distributor and contact them.
there are affiliate programs and referral e-commerce programs as well.
Yeah.
If you go to any large websites, oftentimes there's an affiliate program where if you, I'm not 100% familiar with every website, but oftentimes you can essentially get credits or maybe even get cash back or something like that, depending on what products they sell and how you refer them to the site and how you close it. Google AdSense is another thing. You'll see websites. I have a number of free websites that I put up through Weebly.com, which is their free web hosting. And I put up Google AdSense, so anytime someone clicks through and goes to that, essentially where someone's paying for advertising, I get a small kickback on that as well. So that's another way to make a couple bucks out of it.
I think we got time for one more question here, with bumping up on lunchtime. Back there.
If you deal with the way the website was on
version which would appear on an iPad or an iPhone or whatever Droid, mobile device you're using. We actually have a selection within our website platform where we can enable it or disable it. Tim and I, a lot of the dealerships that we worked with, it was kind of standard where it had a mobile version. Personally, I don't like it, and it's kind of, I think, ties into your market too, what your competitors are doing. A lot of our competitors, they don't even use it. So,
Most mobile websites choke down the content that your customer's getting, and you gotta realize that your website is basically like a physical location. They can walk into your store, get information, they can go to your website, get information. So why would you choke down the information that they can get? Most smartphones, tablets are getting so good that you want to offer the full website to them. We have run into the issue though before where on certain Internet Explorer browsers, you'll go from 8 to 6, and on 6, our coding on our website and our text and our video is all jacked up. It's all moved, it just is not there. So there comes down to your website is never perfect, we've figured out. You can never have it completely the way you want it. You check it on a Mac, it's going to be different. You check it on Internet Explorer, it's going to be different. You check it on Firefox, it's going to be different. So you got to be able to give your customers, you got to do the legwork, or your internet or your website company has to do the legwork to go, will it show up on Internet Explorer, will it show up on this, and how it goes, and then you got to get the best blend between the coding and the building of it, so that when your customer finds it, it does display. If it's something strange, because people use some of the weirdest browsers, but they at least get the information.
Okay,
You
I
gotta-
think we're going to
you gotta
have
check.
questions right now. I think some of our panel is going to be around a little later, so you can ask questions. Let's give them a big hand.